Hello people. For Pathway XL 3.25, I'm league starting with Hollow Palm Gladiator.
There are three main challenges I need to solve in order to make Hollow Palm feel good. Clear, Modifier Pressure, and defenses. So, clear. Without weapons and gloves, we're missing out a lot of options for clearing. Additionally, we have limited socket for gems, meaning that we cannot equip skills that are only good for clearing on our gear. Second, Modifier Pressure. This kind of refers to the overall limits on our gear. Specific modifier we need, such as resistance, spell suppression, and most importantly dexterity, are kind of like the must-have on our gear, and we can't really have a well character without these. But at the same time, all of these are suffixes, which making upgrades extremely tedious. Lastly, defense. As a dex stacking build, is very easy for us to get high evasion and possibly suppression, but we still need to do some raw damage reduction, physical damage reduction, and way to either get maximum resistance or reduce elemental damage taken. And so far, this is how I solve these problems with my current characters. Alright, so this is my current character. It is level 97. I should have made this video a couple of weeks earlier, but right now it's August 22nd and pretty much 1 month into the league. So regarding the big three to make this build feel good, for clear, I was using Gladiator's new ascendancy point for explosion. But once in the late game where I deal pretty much too much damage and enemy dies before I can even bleed them and kill them, I found that the explosion are significantly less effective. So I decided to bring on Oroth's End to get more explosion, and this is completely optional. And if you're not using any other explosion, for example, the explosion node in the duel will attack cluster jewels, or the bride explosion in the watcher side, then I would say you can use this. But those two other options are pretty much a lot cheaper, I would say. Obviously, if you want to take last two additional hits and explosion, then that would be super expensive. But if you just want to look for explosion and clear itself, that's definitely the way. Clear definitely gonna help this build. I'm using Sunder of Earthbreaking, so it's pretty much a straight line. So I can't attack people from enemies from very far, and I don't have to be worried about getting too close. But if you're playing cyclones or other skills, then clear will definitely help. Next, FX pressures. So obviously, we're doing dex stacking. Everything has to be having dexterity, dexterity, max dexterity. But that makes our suffix spot from 3 to 2, and pretty much we have to find a way to alleviate the pressure of needing resistances on our gear. So I spent a lot of investment on getting resistance in my passive tree. For example, this evasion and armor nodes give me all resistances. This nodes of master of fundamentals give me resistances, and most importantly, I got a natural instincts that also give me a lot of resistances as well, plus this settlement node. Before this investment can be done, I spent a lot of time using these three cluster here for accuracy. But these also give me a lot of elemental resistance as well. So with all these, pretty much you can guarantee that you can get a tier 1 dexterity on all your gears without feeling sacrificing your defenses. Another thing what I talk about is spell suppressions. I was using some gears with spell suppressions, or I was simply using the spell suppression mastery for lucky chance to suppress spell damage is lucky, so that's pretty much increase my effective chance. Obviously we're also going to take mage ban, and that in the early game probably give me like 60 to 50 spell suppression chance, and with these keystone right here, and I also took some when I was needing here, pretty much give me 100% very early on. But once if you reach pretty much the ultimate goal of 1500, then you can completely drop these nodes investment and use them somewhere else. So for spell suppressions, you always aim for 1500 dexterity. If you can't do it in the early game, then take mage bang and get these spell suppression node ready. Another thing you can do is, if you want, get a impossible escape on Val Pack keystones. This keynote courage is very good, or you can just path it here, it doesn't matter. Path it here, or take these two as well for onslaught. Onslaught's good, I'll talk about later. But this single note itself gave me 50% chance to suppress spell damage, so it was good to take. For KR resistance is the most important and most difficult part. I found myself dying a lot to degens, so obviously for Pantheon I took this one, and also I focused a lot on KR resistance on my rings right here, this one, and also my boots. And KR resistance is the most important and most difficult part. I found myself dying a lot to degens, so obviously for Pantheon I took this one, and also I focused a lot on KR resistance on my rings right here, this one, and also my boots. And with all these threes, and that pretty much can help me mitigate the spell's weakness. And also I'm immune to poison, so that also helps a lot. Obviously these are pretty much endgame gear. I'm not expecting to take it, so if you cannot make that work, you still can. This spell still can function really well, or in general function really well without a positive chaos resistance. You just need to be very careful what you're standing on. So that's that for FX pressure. What I will recommend is that just try to find the best gear you can at the time, and don't be afraid to invest your next gear. Like I spend a lot of ring simply just to buy it and test it out, and if you find out it doesn't work, and just leave it there. It's a lot of ring, a lot of item I switched out of, so it's a lot of fine-tuning for this build. For defense, it's what I really like for this particular new league is the changes on Gladiator. So obviously I'm using block mechanic. The inherent bonus on dual wielding is double, so I'll give 40% chance to block attack damage plus lucky block attack. So with those bonuses, and with investment of these threes blocking node and these three blocking node, plus the versatile combatant, which give me also spell block as well, I pretty much are capped 65. Maybe a little bit. You're probably gonna get, if you only take those things, you're probably gonna be 65 56. I spend some points on getting +1 block damage right here to max out, and also I have some for over here. So what you probably will do in the early game is you're gonna path right here, getting these dual wielding block nodes as well. So you can take these, and these to get max block. Max block feels good, especially with this dual wielding mastery getting elusive. You pretty much have elusive on 24/7 whenever you're fighting, so it feels good to give you movement speed, chance to dodge damage in general. Fortify, obviously, I do not have much points investment in those Fortify points, kind of too far, so I just take the tattoos. These works great. Only problem is the duration is pretty short, so you kind of get close to them. But since I'm using Sunder, so I can pretty much get my Fortify from far away and get in there. Armors and evasions are very important, but I did not invest a lot. I only took determination and based evasion right here. I wish I can switch determination to grace, but I want to get hit because my next setup for life recovery. So I took this note for a flask, and every time when I use a flask, it recovers 4% life. That works perfectly with these type of charge setup where if I ever get hit, I get 3 charges, and I use when it's full. So pretty much I get at least pretty much every 2 seconds, every 3 seconds I use a flask, and I recover 4% of my life. So that feels good, and for that reason I did not choose grace. And also I found this perfect good jewel for reduce reflect damage, so always good to, if I want to do a corrupt map, I can just switch a ring and do it without being too much changes on other things. Oh yeah, so I played this character for a month now. I have made some investment, a huge investment. One of the big investment I did is I get a Forbidden Flame, Forbidden Flesh jewel for Adrenaline from Champion, and that significantly increased not only my damage but also my survivability as well. How I do it is that I have to reserve, well, you don't have to, but whenever I go to half-life, low life, then I'll activate Adrenaline in order to make it actively, constantly activating. I use Petrified Blood, lock my health to low life, and whenever I use a life flask, it pop up, and then I use a skill, since I have skill cost life, it lowers the skill or whenever anything's hitting me, so automatically I have Adrenaline. So that feels good, give me 100% increased damage, so that's really good. And armor, pretty much the most important things I need to do, since for elemental damage, most likely they're gonna be spells and have spell suppression cap, so that's good. What else? Flesh and Stone, 20% less damage. Elemental avoidance. Now that's something I get very in the end, since I was not able to spell suppression cap with just dexterity alone. So once I was able to reach 1500 cap or level the target, then I took this about this rule for get another 50% chance to avoid elemental elements. That plus the boots, which is 30%, and finally life note here give me like what, 20%, and that gives me 50% in total, and that feels really good. You don't have to worry about chill, shock, ignite, sap, all those alternative elemental as well, so it feels really good. And overall, this build can be doing very well in very juiced up tier 16. I don't really like to use this build or play this build on tier 17 simply because there's too much degen. One of the big weakness of this build is that it doesn't have that much consistent or significantly high life recovery or degen defenses, since I cannot use Divine Flush or have maximum resistance. The max resistance is only like 76. So degens is very hit very hard on them, especially when you're fighting shapers. The shaper being pretty much one-shot me, so it's kind of annoying. I don't really like doing tier 17 maps. So that's pretty much it. Once you have the defense up and you have the defense ready, you pretty much can scale wherever you want on the offenses. Obviously getting clusters, cluster for defenses, putting notes in rage, etc. So I would say if you want to play this build, have a lot more smooth time, a lot more fun time playing this, focus on defense, then slowly removing your notes from defense to offense, then you can have good transitions. So finally, some tips on playing this build if you're planning to do it or you want to play it right now. You kind of need to wait. If you're league starting, obviously you have to wait someone to drop Hollow Palm technique. This can be quite well. For example, I wait for like the 3rd or 4th day to get it. Obviously expensive, and I just do a lot of heist contract in Act 9, and then just all the way level up from 60 to 70 to get enough like 40 C. At that time, each contract gave me 1 C, so I do 40 contract just to get this note. So this is pretty much not as friendly as league start, but once you get it, pretty much you can breeze all the early white and yellow maps. One few things you must grab, or you definitely need to grab in order to your build feel good. First is this brisk wrap. I don't have to be corrupted, but the increased damage per 15 dexterity is definitely huge. And perfect roll Astromantis. The reason why I say perfect roll is don't like once you save enough currency and buy it, and you pretty much put there and just forget about it. And this thing can help you a lot, not only give you a lot of dexterity, but also alleviate your need for intelligence, strength, etc. Also, if you're looking for additional help in your clearing, Dancing Devilish is good. For those who doesn't know, this sword when you melee hits them, you go melee hits the enemy, just hitting them by itself give you rampage stack, and when you have 15 rampage stack, you can summon 2 swords fighting you, and those swords use a socketed gem that you just put on there. You don't have to link them. I just forgot about it, so I bought a 6 link one. But you don't have to link them, just have 6 socket, and like for example, block, chance reduction, blind support, clone strike, main support. Main support definitely huge to give you increased damage since I'm doing impel. So this is main support. And meat shield also good as well. They taunt enemies, so pretty much they deal 10% less damage on enemies that did not taunt them, which is us. And I pretty much when you go into enemies, spin, and then you can see they're summoning and can start using my Sunder. One of the very awkward thing about this build particularly is the skill I use, since Sunder cannot be used by sword, so you can see I cannot use it. So whenever I open the map, there's pretty much a 3-second chance for me to pretty much have the like lowest defense possible. I have pretty much 0 block. I have to no fortify since I need stun down. Go in, spin and pray they do not kill me instantly, and once I have my those minions up, then I can start clearing the map. So definitely a very awkward playstyle. If I choose Cyclone as my main skill, then it'll be a lot easier, and also probably will be level 100 right now. Every time I try to level up, I need to be very cautious of this type of playstyle, but this is a skill I choose and I still like it, so I'm probably gonna just keep on using it. Another thing is for Dancing Devilish, you can not only suck at different gems, but also you can apply debuff you want. I was using it for increased area damage for main support, because there was increased area damage, increased area effects, and increased chance to bleed, because I don't have a way to proc bleed in the very early games. Only thing I have was I believe just only this passive right here, which is 15%. So having this minion doing bleeding for you and kill them in white maps and yellow maps helped me tremendously. So you can do that as well. One last things I want to talk about before I wrap this up is this build, after investing like roughly 50 div in there, probably more than that, you can perform pretty much all content. Haven't tried the Uber yet, but I tried Uber Cortex and it was pretty much like normal Cortex, so I pretty much one-shot them. But the problem is that Tier 17 map, it's just too much degen and it's just not fun. Like whenever I just dash in and try to spin, even before I can accumulate enough rampage and start using my skill, I pretty much just die, and it's just not really a fun time for me. Another thing is that there's a cap for what you can do with it. Like right now, with everything perfect, I'm barely above 1500, and that's of course a lot of things maxing. I make sure I choose a closer drawer with plus dexterity. You can see if I don't have those plus dexterity right here, definitely not gonna make that, and definitely gonna leave it with 99 or 98 spell suppression. So it's a very tough to tweak when you try to min-max your build. So I would recommend, like, once you get in red maps and you're making enough currency, just pretty much switch it out to other melee build. Is a lot better. One thing for those who really want to min-max this is I found a really cool is with the minimum frenzy charge skill. So this thing is very interesting. So I got sword for endurance charge on stationary, so before the map I can just do like this and switch it back and then spin and then give me all those endurance charges, or when I try to fight something I can switch it and switch it back. And you will say, well, how does that work if your Dancing Devilish disable your weapons? Well, that's the interesting part. So if you can see here right now, I don't have any endurance charges, but if I get it, see, I can start using my skills, but my main weapon is disabled. So you can see I'm disabled, cannot use this item. But if I switch it right now, you can see I have charges, even though those are disabled. So I'm not sure this is a bug or intended, probably a bug, but when I fight, so I can just keep switching. I don't have it. Oh, switch it back, and I can just refresh it whenever I get back. So it doesn't matter if I have Dancing Devilish on, I can just switch back whenever I counter, like, I don't know, 1000 of Rogue Exile or fighting bosses. I was using Maven strategy, so whenever I need to do, I can just switch it. So to get those endurance charges. Frenzy charges, you can get it from the block node on your tree. So frenzy charges, you can get it from here, so you don't have to worry about it, but endurance charges is what I need. So this tech definitely helped me a lot. I feel a lot better when I'm jumping through the maps, but you don't have to do it. That's just for something that I figured out lately. And that's pretty much it. There's nothing else I would like to add. I can provide a POB link, but I don't think POB will help that much since it's a very unique take on the build. I focus on block, and usually people just go Slayer and maybe path a little bit towards the right side of a tree to get all those frenzy charges and there's endurance charges, and it probably does not use Petrified blood since that's because I got it, the adrenaline. So hopefully this build helps for anyone who want to do it. And what does it look like to min-maxing? Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. What I would like to do next, if I'm gonna still playing this game, it's already a month in, hopefully I can gain enough currency to get, it sounds stupid, but like, the 13 power rooms, so I can play some Vow skill, but it's so damn expensive. Right now it's 70 per power rooms. I don't know why, but this is what it is. Just pray that the ship give me some mirror shards or a mirror so I can get it. But other than that, I'm not sure if I can do any additional videos. But if I have anything else I want to share, then I'll do it. But until next time, goodbye, people.